Hello there. So not only have I been arsing around putting electrics into this thing, I've got no electrics in the barn. I've got a professional come in to wire in from the house to the barn. He's turning up tomorrow. He's going to fit a consumer unit down, and then I can wire in my individual circuits from there. I didn't fancy doing the bit at the house because, one, I'm not qualified, so I shouldn't, but it's the house supply, isn't it? So don't want to mess with that. What we have is this sat on the floor. This is 16mm armoured cable, 75 metres, 75 kilos, and that figure times 10 it cost. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so that's got to go in. I need to dig a little trench from the back of the house to the fence, and then it's going to be sunk down there, run down the back of the fence, and I was going to have it coming into that corner over there where all the shed stuff is, where that'll have to get ditched at some point. But now because we've gone for a bit longer cable, I'm hoping we can get it here. So that'll be a little bit more accessible and easier to wire things. Right, I need to take this up to the house, and it's over 30 metres. So there's only one vehicle for it, really, isn't it? You left them there. I brought this back in the other day in between the two vans, and I just about squeezed in. I've had the comma out since, and it's clearly not in the same place because I just crashed into the US. What? You stupid boy. Right, I've pushed the collar over, attempt to. Alright then, we are ready to go. One thing I've had with this is that it unloads that unweighted wheel, because there's a big fat guy sat the other side, and because there's an open diff it just spins, so I've added some weight. Let's see how it goes. Oh, we got all the traction! We are here. That was far quicker than walking, surely. Right, what I need to do is, this is where the power comes into the house. This is the current power going to the roller shutter door, which is just on a 13 amp plug. That's not enough to run what I want to run. So, but I'm going to copy basically where it's gone. Excuse the wind. I'm going to dig a trench across here, and then the lead is just going to run down the back of the fence into the barn. So yeah, let's scrape back and see what I got. I need a wheelbarrow. Perfect. The reason the parasol's off, by the way, because it blew off and landed on the car bloody bonnet. Right, a bit difficult to pick up from camera, but I just opened up a trench there and then realised that that's not going to work because of the foundations of the house, which are concrete. So I'm not going to be able to just the wire's going to come out here somewhere. I can't run it over there. So hopefully he'll allow me to tuck it up against the step, and then it's not concrete under here. So it'll run down there under the fence. Right, pull this back. More potential issues. There's a big slab here. What's that about? I really don't know. And also there's a slab, which if I'd have thought about it, there is a fence post there and I shouldn't have gone straight for it, but that slab is all the way along. So I think it probably just, yeah, Christ knows, the whole fence is built on concrete. No idea, but like the next fence post is there and that concrete comes to at least there. So yeah, can't really go around that. I'm well out of my depth here, so I'm actually just going to speak to the electrician tomorrow. I've had a quick look at the regs on armoured cables and they're a bit woolly. Looks like you can get away without burying them if you put a sign to say there's a cable there. I don't really know, but yeah, I'll speak to the electrician and he'll let me know tomorrow. Good afternoon's work done. Time to load up the lorry and get back. I've just come back into the barn. I've been out in the garden for a bit. And you know, I had that wren's nest, which is up there, up in that corner of the barn. When I came in yesterday, I couldn't see the chicks inside it. And then today I've come in. The chicks are on the nest. I'm going to give them some space. It's a bit annoying because the pub crawler was parked right there. Sparrow hawk just came down and grabbed a sparrow. Oh, the electrician's here. Things are happening. About that, he said basically the cable's going to get laid and I'm going to have to concrete it. Oh well, I got the barn to concrete anyway, so 2 jobs, 1 stone. 2 birds, 1 stone? Something about birds. I've got to pop into town in the Comma to buy some of these and a piece of wood. Let's go. This thing is going so well at the minute. And it's on less than 1 bar of boost. Okay, so it's the end of the day and the electrician's done his bit. I'll show you it, not that I can explain much of it. So, from what I know, this is the main supply coming in, and then basically spurred off this somewhere is an isolator. Then off that isolator, he's added this. And this has got, no idea, a 40 amp breaker I think on it. I think that's for a 40 amp breaker. And then that is that. Then armoured cable, which he was quite happy to lay on this floor, but he said to make it safe and no sharp edges, basically to lay concrete over it, which is fine because I've got to concrete the barn where the 2 posts goes, so I'll just do a little bit. So it's basically satin concrete, and then We were going to put it behind the fence originally, but that is just too much work. So it's clipped onto the fence all the way down to the barn. Okay, so I'm down the end of the garden, and this is it running from down the edge of the fence, behind the compost bins, and then overground down here. Then up into the barn. So he gave me the option to cut it down a bit so it's the correct length, and basically there's not that loop in it. But what we were both agreeing with is that if I do want to do something around the back of there, I don't know. Well, I know I want to add in an extractor for the plasma table, but if I want to do anything else, keep anything around there, and I've made the cable just the right length, and I need to move that cable, then that's going to be very annoying. So totally happy to have it a little bit of a loop in it. It's fine, and that's where the cable is. Let me show you in the barn. Look at this pretty thing. Lovely. Even lovelier. Wow. Anyway, this is what's been done in here. So this board's been added on, and down here we have a 3 circuit breaker. So I think he said 6 amp, 16 and 32 amp breakers in there, and I can isolate it off that switch. And I don't really know. I think maybe he had to add this in. I'm not too sure. Maybe to test it. But that's on a 16 amp. That's on the 16 amp circuit. What he was saying, right? And obviously he's bound by legislation and his regulations, that to put wire in down in a barn, like an outbuilding like this, it needs to be IP rated, so like waterproof. So he's got to put waterproof plugs in it, and he said it's a bit over the top. And it certainly is, because I'm not adding waterproof plugs everywhere. Oh no. Waterproof sockets, not plugs. I'm not a total idiot. So now the next steps is for me to work out what sockets I want and where I want to run them, and order all that stuff in, and I'm going to do that myself. What's the worst that could happen? I'll run you through quickly what I want to do, right? Because if I don't, and the next video is like, wow, look at my electrics, everybody. People will just comment saying, why didn't you do it this way? Why didn't you do that way? And I really am a newbie when it comes to this. So I welcome people's opinions and advice on this. Not that I don't welcome your advice on things like UAS swaps or anything like that. I totally do. But I've normally got like a way forward with my projects, like a stupid stubbornness, but no stupid stubbornness here. So yeah, let me show you. So I have 15 lights to fit, and I'm actually only going to fit 9 because they're very bright. And where I'm going to fit them is, if you look, they've got hooks on them. So there's some diagonals, which you can just about see, coming across the skylight and then going up the other way. So 2 hooks on that. So there's going to be a light there, and I'm going to do that all the way down and on the other side. So that's where 6 lights are going to be. And then in the middle, I'm going to have the light basically that way. And you can see the sort of like strengtheners that I'm going to use. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wire the 3. They're going to be wired together, and they're going to be on a switch. So, and likewise down there. So it'll allow me to basically turn off 2/3 of the light in, or 1/3 of the light in, and reduce energy bills. So that's my lighting idea. And also I'll run the wire down to the door, so the switch will be on a 3-way switch. I'm probably not going to wire it to this door, just that door, 3-way switch, and that's my lighting idea. And that'll be off the 6 amp circuit breaker on that. Any issues with that? Speak now. Okay, let's move on. So off the 16 amp breaker, I'm going to run your regular 3-pin 240 volt household style sockets, but just the metal clad ones, so they're a bit tougher. I don't think I'm going to add any into this area, not at first, because the racking is going to go there, and then I've got another big piece going along the back, which means the only place I'll be able to put them is along here. And the only real reason I can see why I'd want one is to run a charger. And I think if I was to run a charger, I could just run an extension lead down there. You know, what am I looking at there? 50 quid's worth of cable just to run one socket for a possibility of charging the vehicles. No, I'm not going to do it for now. Maybe something in the future. But what I definitely am going to add is I'm going to run the wires probably on top of that wooden beam and P-clip them all in. I'm going to run a double socket here, one for the workbench. I run an extension lead there. People might not like that, but I only ever run my TIG welder on it now. There's nothing else here to run it off. That runs off a different plug, so ignore that. And basically, if you've got sockets up your top of your workbench, then you're running cables over the top of your workbench and where you're cutting stuff and all that. So I don't like doing that. I like fitting them the other side of the workbench, maybe underneath or down there. So that's my plan, is to run a double here, one to run an extension lead in there, which runs just chargers, and there's a grommet in the back of there, and one to run that, which allows me to run my TIG welder. I'll probably run one down here as well, maybe for the extractor, maybe for something else. And then one here for the computer, for the plasma cutter. When I say one, I mean a double. And then here I'm going to have my bench grinder somewhere here on a pedestal, and that. So another double there with them connected to that. Then over here I'll probably add one more just because. Yeah, that's the plan with that. So that was 5 double sockets. I might bump it up to 6 or 7 or 8. But being as I'm wiring them in, I could always add in more. So yeah, not the end of the world. Now on the 32 amp circuit breaker, I'm going to run some chunky wire, 6mm probably, and that is going to feed the air compressor and the plasma cutter. They're both on big 16 amp, 20 amp or 32 amp plugs. I need to work that out. So there's going to be a big round blue connector there, and then my lathe, which is actually on a 3-pin on like a 13 amp plug, but I think it shouldn't be. So I'm going to add another blue socket in there, and for the mill, which is going to be around there. And then I'm going to add in emergency stops on the mill and the lathe, and then everything else has already got them on it, I believe. I apologise, this video is nearly 20 minutes long and all filler, no killer. I'm going to end it there. In the next video, unless anybody's talked me out of it, this place will have full electrics. See you then. Thanks for watching. And also, for those of you that don't know, a little bit of an announcement.
Adam's got a new set of wheels, and for once, I actually approve of this one.
Babysitting redo in October. Those that will know us will have known that this has been like all my projects, many years in the making, and it's nice to see me nearly finish something. I have to have a bit of help.